But I probably wouldn't agree that. I know there was a few incidents, a few games where Phil and
John O'Shea, I think, were in midfield.
And played in midfield, but Phil on a certain day was really aggressive and probably could have been sent off, and he went after one or two people. But I don't think it was ever in my mindset that we have to. To me, it always felt we had to be physical. I don't think there was any time in my career at United where I felt, no, we really have to start kicking these or be a lot more aggressive. I think that was always my mindset. But I think there's definitely a few games or a few incidents where Phil, I think I missed that game. I wasn't playing that game where there was. Phil certainly was like a kamikaze pilot.
We'll get back to Gary Neville, Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira in just a quick second. But remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification button as well, just so that you know when the next Big D video is about to drop, or is dropping, or has dropped. You know what I mean. And don't forget, more importantly, if you've got something to say, if something is bubbling up inside of you based on what you've seen on this video, please put it in the comments. Because, look, at the end of the day, the Big D has got a lot to say about things relating to Manchester United, past, present, and hopefully future as well. And if the Big D's got something to say, and if you're going to listen to what I've got to say, the Big D is always interested in what you have got to say. So please put it in the comments. But while you're watching this video, I want you to think back to the rivalry between Arsenal and Manchester United. And I want you to ask yourself, what was your favourite moment from those matches, those interactions? What was it that sticks out in your mind? Was it the tunnel incident? Was it Pizzagate? Was it a particular match? Was it a particular goal? You tell me. I want you to think about that. Put it in the comments if you like. And then after the little clip I'm about to show you from the overlap, I'm going to be giving you my brutally honest opinion about the rivalry between Manchester United and Arsenal Football Club. Anyway, let's get back to the guys.
We felt that we were getting closer to you. Because the target was, if we want to win the league, you have to finish above United. So we were training every day. We were playing the game, and the target was United. How do you get there? So all this kind of, and I think it was as well driven by the press, because it was this kind of me against you, Arsenal against Sir Alex Ferguson. So everything was created to really have those two teams to be really competitive. And more we were getting closer and more we felt that United were more aggressive. And that was a compliment to us, because that means we were quite really close.
Did you feel that, Roy? Obviously, we took them on. I think we took them on punch for punch, probably 98, 99, 2000. But it got to a point where do you remember the point where sometimes Fletch would come into midfield and we'd start to play in 5 in midfield rather than play 4-4-2? We changed our system slightly to play against you to compensate for things. Did you feel that we were
maybe
having
of course. Yeah, they were making progress. They were making progress as a club, and obviously Patrick, these players were maturing and getting more games under their belt. But I probably wouldn't agree that. I know there was a few incidents, a few games where Phil and
John O'Shea, I think, were in midfield.
And played in midfield, but Phil on a certain day was really aggressive and probably could have been sent off, and he went after one or two people. But I don't think it was ever in my mindset that we have to. To me, it always felt we had to be physical. I don't think there was any time in my career at United where I felt, no, we really have to start kicking these or be a lot more aggressive. I think that was always my mindset. But I think there's definitely a few games or a few incidents where Phil, I think I missed that game. I wasn't playing that game where there was. Phil certainly was like a kamikaze pilot.
The only thing I thought, right, we didn't change for many teams our system. We did after 2002-03 when Sabre came in, but they were the one team that I felt we did change slightly for when we actually beefed up midfield. Do you understand? We changed for them, which is very unusual for us to do.
That's called probably respect and again a compliment to the opposition. But also, you have to be prepared to change, because we knew maybe if you proper 4-4-2 against Arsenal, then they would pick you off and isolate you, and they'd pace and physicality or whatever. So I think to me that's all pretty normal, getting that extra body midfield. We've done it the odd time in Europe, of course, against the brilliant teams. But Arsenal would make you think that way and going, we need to get extra cover in there, particularly people who were good enough to pick us off.
I think that Arsenal team from so I think you won the league in 02. I think United won it in 03. And I'll be honest, I think you was probably, I don't know if you look at it, maybe you threw it away that season. Then you've done the Invincibles in 04. All the teams we played against, or I played against, even in Europe, I think that 2 or 3 year period there for Arsenal was the most difficult, well, the toughest team I'd ever played against. And I've always said this, you said before about how big the team were. Probably the only team I've stood in the tunnel and made you feel smaller in the tunnel. You were actually like, you just look across and think, wow, the quality of players. Like I always think about Bergkamp. Bergkamp was like 6'2", his shoulders were like that, and he was supposed to be like the silky fella. You know, do you know what I mean? And it's the only thing I remember it for 2 or 3 seasons I played against Arsenal, and it affected me mentally. You know, sort of, you're up against Henry physically in the tunnel. So even if you play United, you know they're better than you, but you still think, okay, we can do this, and we can maybe find a way to nick the game. We might play in the counter attack, or we can nullify them there. The Arsenal team,
and you know what they had as well, Jamie?
The pace. The pace.
People underestimate. I know we'll highlight it now, but they had players who could fucking run. I mean, really run. So even when you squeeze up the pitch or whatever, they had players who had a good mix. We talk about the physicality all day, but they had quality to go with it. But the pace was
the pace of
Overmars and Henry.
Overmars and Anelka.
And there's an Anelka.
And then Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
lightning quick.
98 with Bergkamp and Anelka.
Overmars was the quickest player I've ever seen.
And they had the runners, but they had the lads and the quality to pick them out as well. It's not like they were headless chickens. They were making great runs and picking you off.
I mean, how disappointing is it for you that if you think of that team 2002 to 2004, that you didn't win the Champions League? Because for me, I'm trying to think who won the Champions Leagues in those years, but you were. Well, Porto won it one year, didn't they? What was that? Was that 03 or 04?
Real Madrid won it with beat Ballack in the final one year.
Well, you must be thinking that you're the best team in Europe then, or in the best 2 or 3 teams in Europe, and you never really came close.
I believe that we were missing something, because we never managed to win the league twice in a row.
Okay.
And if we didn't, it's because we were missing, I believe, a little bit of, I don't want to say the nastiness, but we maybe get carried on after winning the title. But the big disappointment from those 9 years at Arsenal is we didn't manage to win the league back to back. And with the squad and the team that we had at the time, we should manage to do it. And if we didn't, we were missing something.
Bigger squad? No.
Maybe bigger squad. Maybe more the nastiness. When I say nastiness, maybe that is something that was missing. Ruthlessness. Yes. Maybe that is something was missing from Arsenal.
You should have signed me.
We'll be winning 2 or 3 times in a row. But that is, I think we are missing something. I think that is a bit disappointment not to win it back to back.
Yeah, Jamie just said it was the toughest team he played in 2002 to 2004. We were actually okay against that team. I felt we had a decent record against that team. I actually felt I struggled more. Maybe I don't know whether you felt the same, Roy, with the 98 team. The one with Overmars, obviously the 2002 to 4 was Perez up against me. Who do you think was the better team? The one that had the famous back five in with yourself, Emmanuel Petit, Overmars, Parler, Bergkamp and Elka, versus then the one with Sol Campbell and obviously Gilberto Silva, Henry. But which one do you think was the better team when you look at both of them together? We played against both. You played against both. You've seen.
I think the 98 was more competitive.
More aggressive.
More aggressive.
Yeah.
Less quality overall.
Yeah.
But they are competitors, so we can go somewhere. We may not going to play well, but I think it was 98 we managed to win a lot of games 1-0 because of the pace up front of people making a difference. And I think that generation with Sol Campbell and Thierry, they were more quality players in there, more creativity, more better player in the 1v1. They were more. The technical level of that team was much higher. For football-wise, that generation was better. But mentally, the 98 was much
Can I just say, the 98 team was, do you remember you'd won the league, I think with 2 games to go, and before the cup final, you came to Anfield and I think you were on the bench. We won 4-0, but the league was finished.
We
Do
were
you
on the
remember
bench
that game?
with Cherry, and we were all on the bench, no?
No, I don't think
No, that
Thierry
one?
was there then. This was 98.
98.
Yeah, you
Anelka.
played in the game.
Anelka was
you
there.
got injured your ankle.
I did, yeah, I got to.
I was in midfield with Incy, and you came on sub, I think, for maybe the last 15 minutes. And I must be 19, 20. I'm thinking, I'm going to do him when he's on.
You must say the same thing as well.
But I was in midfield with Incy.
Why? Why did you want to do that?
Because he's Patrick Vieira. I'm this young kid. I'm thinking I'm going to leave one on him. I'll never forget this. You got the ball by the bench, but you were right on the touchline. You know what I'm feeling? Right by the bench, right on the halfway line. So there's nowhere for you to go. So I can see the ball on the way to you. You stood there, and I'm already on my way, and I think he's getting it. And I've come in like a train, and you just rolled your foot off the ball like that, and I've been sliding off the pitch. And it's always stuck. You know, you think, the great play, you just like, you know, it's a little lesson. Yeah. You know, you think, calm your, you know what I mean? Calm down. You think you're going to leave someone, and get back to right back.
Stay in your lane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So which team then? 98 or the Invincible team? If you had to choose one.
The Invincible.
Yeah,
Invincible.
it's Invincible.
We chose the Invincible.
So everyone see.
Because there was a really good generation of players. We really enjoyed playing together. Yeah. The quality of the games, the way we were playing, and Robert was fantastic. Robert was fantastic.
He used to fall over a lot, though, didn't he?
When you kick him from behind, you have to fall down. So you don't have a choice.
It was always from behind, wasn't it? Yeah. He was always the wrong side. You kick him straight on.
Okay. If there's one good thing about having your own YouTube channel, your own Manchester United YouTube channel, you get to have a platform to vent or to express something that's bothering you in relation to the particular subject that you are talking about. And there's always been something that's irritated me over the years, and I just feel the need to express it. And that is, people talk about this great rivalry between Manchester United and Arsenal at the beginning of the Premier League era, up until 2013 when Alex Ferguson retired, say. And they talk about it like it was this amazing thing, and it was entertaining, don't get me wrong, but to call it a rivalry, it wasn't a rivalry. No way. They were snapping at our heels, fair enough, but to call it a rivalry, I think that's an inaccurate, or an inaccurate, whatever the word is. That's not the right statement to make. Manchester United won 13 Premier League titles between 1993 and 2013. Arsenal won 3. 13-3. That's not a rivalry. That is just not a rivalry. We dominated them. I don't know how anyone can call that a rivalry. 13-3. It's just non-existent. And I've always felt as though Arsenal, that so-called great Arsenal team between, say, 98 and 2005, including the Invincibles, the most overrated team in European football history. Overrated. And the Invincibles team was the most overrated of all 3 of those title-winning sides. Of course they were. Now, and I would even argue that Arsenal aren't even a big club. They're not a big club. They're not. They're maybe on the cusp of becoming a big club, but they're not a big club. Because in today's world, to be a big club, you need to hit 2 markers. And that's what, achieving any level of status, you need to break through certain glass ceilings. And that's a truism. That's in all walks of life. You need to achieve certain levels to be classed as something good or great, shall we say. And in today's game, to be a big club, you need to have achieved winning a National League title in one of the major leagues, which Arsenal have done, fair enough. and winning a major European trophy, i.e. the Champions League. You can't necessarily class the Europa League as the same level as the Champions League, obviously. Maybe back in the day you could class the European Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup, the UEFA Cup, as not a lot between them, and they were all classed as big trophies, fair enough. But in today's game, there's only one big European trophy, and that is the Champions League. And to be a big club in today's game, you need to win a major national title and the Champions League. And that Arsenal team of the time period that they're talking about in that clip didn't get anywhere near a European Cup final. They got to the European Cup final in 2006, fair enough, but that was an even worse team than the teams that we're talking about in this clip. And it's just funny because, sometimes I feel as though footballers and people within football, generally speaking, they can't see the woods for the trees sometimes. They can't take a step back and just look at things objectively because it's such an emotionally driven sport, fair enough. And the blood boils and passions, go awry and all of that kind of stuff. But it's interesting in this clip that the main one with the most astute opinion, the most honest opinion, is actually Patrick Vieira. The guy whose team that they're talking about, because they're all waxing lyrical about these great Arsenal sides and how difficult they were to play against, blah, 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 and they were great, all of this. But it's Patrick Vieira that's being honest. He's saying, he felt as though the team missed something. He's just missing something to achieve that next level, to achieve United's level. And he makes an interesting point there that I hadn't actually thought about. He regrets that Arsenal didn't win back-to-back. They didn't retain. Which kind of illustrates the point that the argument that I'm about to lay out in just a second. They were just lacking something. And if you compare them to United of that era, United won 3 in a row. 99, 2001, 2002. No, sorry. 99, 2000, 2001. 3 in a row. They also won the European Cup, the FA Cup in those eras. Arsenal done the double a couple of times, fair enough. Well, give the devil his due. But they didn't win the European Cup. So you either win the European Cup or you don't win the European Cup. They talk about who won the Champions League in that era. So between 98 and 2005, who won the Champions League? So in 98 it was Real Madrid, 99 it was United, 2000 it was Real Madrid, 2001 it was Bayern Munich, 2002 it was Real Madrid, 2003 was AC Milan, 2004 Porto, 2005 Liverpool. They were a better team than Liverpool, I'll give them that. Fair enough, they were better than that Liverpool team of 2005. The flukiest European Cup winner of all time. Perhaps I'm a little bit biased being a Man United fan to say that. But I don't know, they weren't as good as Real Madrid. They weren't as good as United. They weren't as good as AC Milan. So Bayern Munich as well. Were they as good as Porto? Well, a lot of those Porto players, went on to do some really good things in top leagues. And Jose Mourinho was the manager, and Jose Mourinho was a much better manager than Arsene Wenger. And he was, and Arsene Wenger is, I think, an overrated manager too. Just for the same reason that Arsenal are not a big club. Arsene Wenger wasn't a great manager, because again, to be a great manager, you've got to win major national titles and European Cups. He's not on Ancelotti's level. He's not on Alex Ferguson's level. He's not on Guardiola's level, Mourinho's level. He's not on Vicente Del Bosque's level. He's not on Otmar Hitzfeld's level or Marcello Lippi's level. He's not. We'll give him Antonio Conte's level. Fair enough. So it's just Arsenal. That Arsenal team were just not as good as what people make out. They were a very good team. I would even go as far as to say an excellent team that were nipping at Man United's heels and kept us on our toes. But to say it was a rivalry, no. The Chelsea team later on was a better team. The Mourinho Chelsea team was a better team than that Arsenal team. But anyway, I mean, let's just do a quick, team comparison. So, Patrick Vieira in the clip talks about, they were missing something. So, and I'll be brutally honest. So they won 3 league titles. So that was in 98, 2002 and 2005. Okay. In 1998, I will concede that they were, in 1998, the best team in the country. I'll give them that for that one season. And that was because United had just lost Cantona, so they weren't quite as good. And Roy Keane was out for, 10 months because of his cruciate. So United and the United squad was a bit thin as well. And I remember that season, and we just ran out of steam because we were challenging for the European Cup as well. We had a right good go at that, and the squad wasn't big enough. So, but then again, you know what? I don't know. The fact that we were, challenging on all fronts that particular season. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm not gonna have in the comments section people saying, "I'm a biased Man United fan." I'm going to be brutally honest. And I mean, I'm just looking at the Arsenal team. I've just got it in front of me here. So David Seaman was in the nets. Back 4, they played 4-4-2. Back 4 was Lee Dixon, Steve Bould, Tony Adams, and Nigel Winterburn. Midfield: Mark Overmars, Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit, Ray Parlour, and up front was Dennis Bergkamp and Ian Wright. Now, David Seaman, the England goalkeeper, was a very, very good goalkeeper. So, fair enough. Wasn't as good as Schmeichel, but he was still a very good goalkeeper. Winterburn and Lee Dixon, 2 solid fullbacks. Fair enough. Tony Adams, legendary England defender, Arsenal defender. Yeah, no problems. We tried to sign him at one point as well. Steve Bould, solid centre-back. Patrick Vieira and Emmanuel Petit, 2 World Cup winners. Mark Overmars, European Cup winner with Ajax in 95. Ray Parlour, a good, solid right midfielder. Ian Wright was a good goal scorer, and Dennis Bergkamp, well, he was just sublime. Absolutely world class. What was he doing at Arsenal? That's what I want to know. Should have been playing for Real Madrid or something. So yeah, I mean, that was a solid team, and our team back then was Schmeichel in the nets. So Schmeichel was clearly better than David Seaman. Gary Neville was a better defender than Lee Dixon. And what was our central defence at that time? Gary Pallister and Ronnie Johnson. Yeah, Gary Pallister was a bit past it at that time, to be fair. Ronnie Johnson, Ronnie Johnson was better than Steve Bould. Adams was better than Gary Pallister at that time. And I think we sold... I'm pretty sure we sold Gary Pallister that summer. Dennis Irwin was better than Nigel Winterburn. Yeah, Dennis. Yeah, no problem. And we played 4-4-2. So our midfield that season was Beckham, Scholes, Butt, Giggs. I think Giggs was injured a lot that season. I'm not sure. Giggs and Overmars. That's a tough one to call, to be fair, because Overmars was very good. That's a tough one to call. For that season, Overmars was excellent that season. I'm going to give it Giggs just. Yeah, I'm going to give it Giggs just. I mean, Mark Overmars went to Barcelona after that, but he didn't really do anything at Barcelona. But then again, Mark Overmars won the Champions League with Ajax. Giggs, Overmars. I think Mark Overmars scored more goals than Giggs. Do you know what? That's a tough one. I'm going to leave that as a tie for that season. That one season. I'm going to leave it as a tie. I'm going to say Giggs and Overmars were just as good for that one season. Ray Parlour or David Beckham on the right side. David Beckham every day. I mean, I'm not even going to debate that. David Beckham, David Beckham, you know. Vieira and Petit. Paul Scholes was better than Petit. Vieira was better than Nicky Butt. That was that. Up front, Bergkamp So Bergkamp and Ian Wright. And who did we have? We had up front that season in 98. The starting two were Sheringham and Andy Cole, I think. We had Solskjaer as well. But I think the starting two were Sheringham and Cole. Bergkamp was better than Sheringham. Andy Cole had a really good season that year. I'm going to give Andy Cole over Ian Wright. So yeah, and we were challenging on a couple of fronts. We'd lost Cantona, as I say. Roy Keane was out. So we did really, really well that season, all things considered. We got to a Champions League quarter-final and we came second in the league. But everyone just got injured at the end. So the running, they won. That particular Arsenal team were the best team in the country that year. Just. So we'll give them that. But in 2002 team, no. The only reason Arsenal won the league in 2002 was because Alex Ferguson fell out with Jaap Stam because he wrote a book. Now, Alex Ferguson's come out and since and said, oh no, it was because we thought he lost a little bit of pace. No, it wasn't. As soon as Jaap Stam released a book where he said that Alex Ferguson tapped him up, which was illegal at the time, he was out the door within weeks. He got a bid from Lazio, and it was like more than what they paid for him, and they were like, yeah, get rid. And they got Laurent Blanc in, and Laurent Blanc was long past his prime at that point. So we were leaking goals at the back. I remember we were scoring goals for fun that season. We were absolutely smashing it in 2002. I think we were the highest scoring. I don't know, were we the highest scoring team in the league? I don't know, but we were smashing teams. And let's just do a quick team comparison. So, Ashley Cole or Dennis Irwin? Dennis Irwin? No, I don't think Dennis Irwin was playing that season, actually, 2002. If he was, he was long past his best. I think it was Silvestre. So they had Ashley Cole. Go on then, I'll give them Ashley Cole. Adams and Campbell. We had John O'Shea. 2000. John O'Shea played a lot of games. And Laurent Blanc. I think that was our centre-back partnership. Good grief. And right back, we had Gary Neville. So Gary Neville was better than Laurent. Fair enough, Adams and Campbell, fine. But the midfield, Beckham on the right. We had Beckham on the right. We had Keane, we had Scholes, and we had Giggs on the left. But we also had Veron as well. Giggs was better than Lundberg. They had Lundberg, Vieira, Parler, and Wiltord. Beckham was better than Wiltord. Keane was better than Vieira. Scholes was better than Parler, and Giggs was better than Lundberg. And they had Henry and an ageing Dennis Bergkamp up front. We had... Oh, do you know what? Thinking back, see, it's all coming back now. So we had... so I think Veron and Scholes used to switch playing in the number 10 position. So let's say Veron plays in central midfield. So still, Veron's better than Parler. It was Scholes and Van Nistelrooy who were up front. And in 2002, Van Nistelrooy scored all the goals. He got the golden boot in that season. So I'm going to give Van Nistelrooy for that season as better than Thierry Henry for that one season. And Dennis Bergkamp or Paul Scholes. I mean, it was an ageing Dennis Bergkamp at the time. I'll give them a tie. But yeah, so I mean, fair enough, they won the league. Fair enough, because they had a better. And we had Barthez in the nets, and they had David Seaman, so they had a better defence. But that was it. But we had Solskjaer. Solskjaer scored about 20 goals from the bench that season as well. You know, and Van Nistelrooy scored about 102 goals. Giggs was getting in on the act as well. Beckham scored his most goals that one season, actually. So we were scoring goals for fun. We just couldn't keep them out. And Alex Ferguson used to say, attackers win your games, but defences win your leagues. So yeah, I mean, it's no coincidence that a year later, For the 02-03 season, we bought Rio Ferdinand for a world record fee for a defender, and then we won the league because we cleaned up our act at the back. So, which leads nicely on to the Invincibles, the most overrated team in Premier League and European football history. So let's just quickly look at the Arsenal team. They had Lehmann in the nets, back four of Ashley Cole, Sol Campbell, I think it was Colo Torre and Laurent. Midfield of Pires, Silva, Vieira and Lundberg. And then up front it was Henry and Bergkamp again. Now our team in 2005, now bear in mind, we sold that year David Beckham. Yeah, Beckham had gone. Did we sell someone else as well? I don't think we did, I'm not sure. But we sold David Beckham. We bought a young Cristiano Ronaldo in. Okay. And our team that year in 2005 was Tim Howard in the nets. Do you know, I can't remember the goalie, to be honest. But we had Gary Neville. It was meant to be Rio Ferdinand. Wes Brown played a lot of games, and then Silvestre. And then we had Cristiano, Keane, Scholes, Giggs, and then up front we had Van Nistelrooy and Diego Forlan, I think it was. Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, why I think that particular Arsenal team was the most overrated team is because they got a huge assist from the FA that year. Because if you remember, that was the year that Arsenal, Rio Ferdinand got banned for 9 months for missing a drugs test. And when it was weird. He was on his way home, and when they were there waiting for him, and then he got a phone call to say, "Where are you?" And he drove back to take the test, but they'd already gone. And they banned him for 9 months, which was ridiculous. They made an example of him, which was completely unnecessary. Now, the last game before Rio Ferdinand's suspension started, we were top of the league. Manchester United were top of the league, okay? I think we were top of the league by about 4 points, and his last game was a draw against Newcastle. And then after that, we started leaking goals at the back. And going back to, and so obviously if you start leaking goals, you start losing confidence. The attack starts losing confidence, and the other team, like Arsenal, they're going to see that we're dropping points. They're going to get bolder, and they're going to get more confident, and they're going to start winning games. It's a knock-on effect, And like I said just a moment ago, Alex Ferguson used to say, attacks win your games, but defences win your titles. And Rio Ferdinand was one of the best defenders in the world at that time. He'd just come off, about 18 months earlier, a brilliant World Cup in 2002, and he would go on to be arguably the best defender of his generation. Now, if you're the best if you're the best player in the world or of your generation in any particular football team, you are going to have a massive influence on that team. And if you are not there, that's going to have a negative influence on your team. And that's how important Rio Ferdinand was to Manchester United. He was fantastic. I mean, I would argue he's probably our best defender ever. So for him to get suspended for like 9 months, it's nuts. So anyway, that's why I think, those three teams are overrated. Plus, they never won a European Cup. So you've got to hit certain markers to be able to class yourself as a great whatever. Like a boxer, you've got to become world champion if you want to be classed as a great fighter, or at the very give you a chance of being classed as a great fighter. You've got to win multiple world titles, and you've got to defend it constantly. Those are certain things that you've got to do. And to be a great big club or big team, you've got to win certain trophies. You've got to, because that's the difference between good teams and great teams, And, Arsene Wenger didn't see that. And again, that's the difference between a great manager and a good manager. Alex Ferguson could see what a team needs to get them to the next level, whereas Arsene Wenger couldn't. Arsene Wenger seemed to benefit a lot from knowing a golden generation of French players. So Pires, Vieira, Petit, Anelka, Henry, Viltord. But once that golden generation dried up, then he was kind of struggling a little bit, and he was never more successful than he was during that era. I mean, even in 2006, that was quite an aging team. Thierry Henry, I think, was about 29 at that point, And Thierry Henry had to go to Barcelona to win the European Cup, the Champions League. So, I'm sorry, but Arsenal were a very good team, and dare I say, an excellent team. But they didn't retain the Premier League, and they didn't win the European Cup. So you can't say that they were a great team. They weren't. They just weren't a great team. And the weaknesses, just going over those three teams there. Weaknesses, okay. So, I mean, in 98, well, they had a bit of an ageing back four. And they never really went for it. I never felt as though Arsenal went for it. The only time Arsenal seemed to go for the Champions League that I remember was in 2006. And they got close, but they didn't get over the line. So, but that 98 team, yeah, it was an ageing back four. Seaman was past his prime at that point as well. And 2002, I mean, that was a pretty good team, to be fair. But Ray Parlour was never a world-class central midfielder. Freddie Ljungberg, it says here, Freddie Ljungberg played on the left. But he was never really world-class. He was a squad player. Pires, I mean, he used to play on the left as well. I mean, he was a very good player, but I wouldn't say Pires was Ryan Giggs level. It wasn't Cristiano level. Viltord, I wouldn't necessarily say he was world-class as well. Bergkamp, world-class, fair enough. Henry, world-class, fine. But, there's certain holes there that were missing. And if you look at United, like the whole of United's midfield that won the treble in 99, that was world-class. Absolutely solidly world-class. The back four, world-class. I mean, Gary Neville was a world-class right-back. And he was. Jaap Stam was a world-class defender. He was one of the best defenders in the world at that time. Ronnie Johnson was world-class when he was fit. Dennis Irwin, arguably the best left-back in Premier League history. Peter Schmeichel, one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. Up front, Dwight York and Andy Cole. Andy Cole is one of the Premier League's all-time top scorers. So, brilliant. He's got some big goals and big games. So you've got to say he was world-class. Dwight York has to be the most underrated striker in European football. He has to be. He got so many goals and so many assists in so many big games as well. In 99, if his name was, say, Henry, or well, maybe not Henry, but if he was Brazilian, perhaps he would have won the Ballon d'Or that year. It's insane. He was phenomenal for us in 1999. He was absolute world class when he was professional, when he wasn't going out and trying to get away with the models and stuff, and Jordan and all Katie Price, all that. And in 2008, when we won the European Cup as well, that whole team was world class. But the Arsenal team, it looks to me that they were all at the very least good players, good, solid, consistent players, and it was just dotted with a bit of world-class flair, like a Bergkamp or an Overmars or an Henry. But the whole team wasn't world-class, and that's the difference. That's the difference. Unless you've got a tactically gifted manager like a Mourinho. But anyway, I've gone on a little bit on this one. If you've lasted this long, You're clearly interested in what I've got to say and my musings. And I know this could be a controversial subject, especially if you're an Arsenal fan. You're going to be saying, the big detox nonsense. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But I think my opinions are quite astute. I might wax lyrical a little bit, go on a little bit, digress a little bit. Fair enough. But I'm having a conversation with you, the viewer. And if you've got something to say back to me, you know where to put it. Put it in the comments. I read all of the comments. So what do you think about that rivalry, the so-called great rivalry? What were your favourite moments from that rivalry? Do you think that Arsenal team was a world-class team? Do you think that Arsene Wenger was a world-class manager? What do you think that Arsenal team could have done to get to Manchester United's level and win back-to-back titles and potentially lift the European Cup, Champions League? Put it in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.